There are moments in history when the world does not simply watch, it listens. Not because of bloodshed or disaster, but because a nation once silenced begins to speak boldly and clearly in its own voice. Today, that nation is Burkina Faso. For years, Burkina Faso was seen only through the lens of instability, coups, droughts, displacement, a landlocked country with little visibility on the world stage. Its resources were extracted, its people marginalized, and its future dictated by decisions made in foreign capitals. To many, it was simply another forgotten African state, small, poor, and dependent. But something shifted. In September 2022, a young artillery captain named Ibrahim Traoré stepped into power. He was not a career politician. He carried no colonial pedigree. But he came with something far more dangerous to the status quo: vision. From his first address, Captain Traoré made one thing clear: Burkina Faso would no longer kneel. Not to foreign armies, not to predatory lenders, not to false promises wrapped in aid packages. Instead, the country would reclaim its land, its wealth, its voice. And what followed was not mere rhetoric. Within months, his government launched projects that would have seemed unimaginable just years before. A national airline reborn, rural hospitals opened, cashew factories rising from the ground, gold refineries built by local hands, and a nuclear power plant in planning. Infrastructure, industry identity, all being rewritten with Burkinabe fingerprints. This is not a fairy tale. The challenges remain enormous. Insecurity, economic pressure, geopolitical tensions. But what sets this moment apart is that for the first time in a generation, the people are not waiting. They are building. As the legendary Chinua Achebe wrote, "When the moon is shining, even the cripple becomes hungry for a walk." In Burkina Faso, the moon is not just shining, it is blazing. So what are these projects? Who is behind them? And why does it matter not just for Africa, but for the black world? If this story moved you, do not let it fade. Say it with me: Africa bows to no one. If your heart beats for Africa's freedom, subscribe and stand with us. There was a time when the skies above Burkina Faso whispered only of departure. Planes flew overhead, charting paths between cities far away, while the nation below remained grounded, politically, economically, spiritually. Its airports stood silent, its airways controlled by foreign interest, and to the world it was just another landlocked country with no wings of its own. But history, as it often does, shifted. On October 2nd, 2024, something extraordinary happened. After a 6-month suspension, Air Burkina, the national airline, took off again. The inaugural flight lifted from Ouagadougou, bound for Dakar, with a brief stop in Bamako. It was more than a plane in motion. It was a nation in ascent, not just resuming a service, reclaiming a future. This moment didn't come easily. It was born from diplomacy, from determination, and from the bold vision of one man, Captain Ibrahim Traoré. Just 2 years into his leadership, Traoré had already redefined what national pride could mean. At the China-Africa Forum, his administration negotiated a deal to acquire a brand new Embraer E190 aircraft at a value of nearly $19 million or 65 billion CFR francs. No loans, no foreign strings, just partnership, precision, and purpose. This new aircraft is more than a machine. It's a tool of sovereignty. With 92 economy seats and 6 business class, fuel efficiency, and the ability to operate on shorter runways, it's tailored for regional dominance. Accra, Abidjan, Niamey, Bamako, no longer distant capitals but neighbors connected by Burkinabe wings. And this is just the beginning. Expansion plans are already underway. More planes, more routes, more control. Because for Captain Traoré, flight is not about prestige, it's about power. Mobility is not luxury, it's necessity. And mobility fuels industry. As Burkina Faso strengthens its position in cashew processing, textile production, and gold refining, regional trade becomes not just beneficial but vital. The air corridors, once symbols of loss, are becoming arteries of renewal. But one plane cannot lift a nation. That's why the transformation is spreading westward to Bobo-Dioulasso, where a massive modernization of the international airport is underway. With an investment of 80 billion CFA francs, the site is being reborn as a full-scale regional hub. A new terminal, Sleek, expansive, state-of-the-art, is set to handle over 1.5 million passengers annually. Runways, taxiways, aircraft parking, all being reconstructed to global standards. But even beyond the aviation scope, this project is catalytic. New access roads will link the airport to trade centers. Tourism will blossom. Hospitality will flourish. And the new rhythm of commerce will echo through the streets of Bobo-Dioulasso, Burkina Faso's second city, now poised to become a Western gateway. Yet, the boldest project of all lies just 35 kilometers northeast of Ouagadougou, the Ouagadougou International Airport. Set to replace the aging Thomas Sankara International, Ouagadougou is not just a relocation, it's a reinvention. Built with a 3.5-kilometer runway, expandable to 4, and a terminal to serve up to 1 million passengers annually, this project embodies resilience. For years, its construction was stalled by political uncertainty and failed foreign concessions. But under Traoré's administration, it surged forward. As of mid-2025, the airport was over 80% complete. And it's not just big, it's bold. Partnering with Vinci, a major global construction firm, the project incorporates low-carbon concrete technology developed with local academic institutions. A 25-megawatt solar power station with on-site battery storage is being installed to ensure energy independence. In a region where blackout means breakdown, this is not just green infrastructure, it is survival strategy. These three projects, Air Burkina's rebirth, Bobo-Dioulassau's rebirth, and Ouagadougou's rise, are not isolated. They are chapters in the same national story. A story about reclaiming the sky. A story that says, we will not wait for others to lift us. We will build our own wings. And the ripple effects are already visible. Thousands of jobs are being created, from construction workers laying tarmac to hospitality staff preparing hotels, from engineers maintaining fleets to young students inspired to train as pilots. Trade routes, once clogged by insecurity, now flow with renewed certainty. The tourism industry, long dormant, is showing signs of revival as new infrastructure promises easier access to the cultural and natural treasures of the nation. Politically, these projects are more than infrastructure, they are symbols. They echo the dreams of Thomas Sankara, who once declared that dignity is not given, it is built. By reclaiming the sky, Captain Traoré is not only fulfilling that vision, he is extending it to a new generation. For Burkina Faso, aviation is no longer about dependency. It is about Pan-African connectivity, about standing shoulder to shoulder with neighbors, about rewriting the coordinates of African unity, because flight is freedom. And for far too long, freedom was grounded. So let the world take note. Burkina Faso is no longer a country watching planes fly overhead. It is now building runways, designing terminals, piloting aircraft, and writing its own coordinates. This is not an airport revolution. This is a sovereignty statement, loud, clear, and unstoppable. In Burkina Faso, sovereignty doesn't begin with flags or speeches. It begins with seeds, buried deep in soil tilled by ancestors, watered by hope, and now reborn through purpose. Because no nation is truly free if it cannot feed itself. No government can claim dignity while importing dinner. And under the leadership of Captain Ibrahim Traoré, food is no longer a matter of charity. It is a weapon of liberation. In early 2024, while much of the world debated aid and export quotas, Burkina Faso launched its agro-pastoral offensive, a plan as bold as any military strategy. Backed by over 78 billion CFA francs, it was a nationwide call to arms, not with rifles, but with tractors. Across rural provinces, the government delivered 400 tractors, 339 motorcycles, 710 motor pumps, and 714 bikes for farm agents. This wasn't symbolism. It was logistics, real tactile power being placed in the hands of real farmers. But tools are only the beginning. Alongside this came 10,000 tons of fish feed, 69,000 tons of fertilizer, 18,000 tons of vegetable seed, and 10,000 tons of animal feed. Where once smallholders waited for seasonal mercy, they now receive state-backed strength. And it is making a difference. In Barse, the government launched the Agro-Civil Pastoral Technology Incubator, a revolutionary education model. Every student is given 2 hectares of land, irrigation access and tools, and not just theory, but practice. This is not a scholarship. It is succession planning, training you to feed the next generation. In March 2025, the next phase arrived. A $200 million training program was announced, targeting 8,000 youth with agriculture and agribusiness skills. More than 20,000 participants are now enrolled, with each promised land and tools upon graduation. These aren't future farmers. They are the architects of a sovereign food economy. Yet no plan can succeed without industry. And that's where Burkina Faso's newest pride rises, an $11 million cashew processing plant designed to employ 20,000 workers, potentially 50,000. It is one of the largest in the region, turning a national crop into a national asset. No longer are raw cashews exported only to return in glossy foreign packaging. Now the value stays home. The jobs stay home. The pride stays home. In Bobo-Dioulasso, the movement deepens. Here stands a fully Burkinabe-funded tomato processing factory, constructed not with foreign loans but with 7.5 billion CFA francs raised by local investors, from villagers to diaspora. The factory processes 100 tons of tomato daily, delivering 800 kilos of concentrate per hour, and is expected to generate 8 billion CFA in 5 years. Behind every can lies a restored dignity for farmers, truck drivers, traders. The numbers are impressive: 187 direct jobs, 10,000 indirect ones, but they don't tell the whole story. What matters more is this: the tomatoes are grown here, processed here, and consumed here. This is the end of post-harvest loss, the end of foreign control, and the beginning of food sovereignty. And it doesn't stop there. Women's cooperatives are gaining new ground in cashew and tomato value chains, finding financial independence where once there was only unpaid labor. Young graduates are seeing agriculture not as a last resort, but as a business worth investing in. These shifts ripple outward, stabilizing families, strengthening communities, and reducing the desperation that once fueled migration. For many Burkinabe, this moment feels like history reborn. 4 decades ago, Thomas Sankara declared that a nation dependent on imported food could never be truly free. Today, under Traoré, those words are no longer rhetoric. They are reality. The tractors, the seeds, the factories, each is a continuation of Sankara's dream, a dream deferred but not defeated. And for the African diaspora watching from afar, the meaning runs even deeper. For generations, Africa was portrayed as a land of hunger, waiting for ships of grain from foreign ports. But here is Burkina Faso, small, landlocked, once overlooked, standing up to say, we will feed ourselves, we will process our harvest, we will own our pride. This isn't aid, it's not philanthropy. It's revolution, in boots, in fields, in factories. A quiet revolution where sovereignty begins at the roots and blossoms into national strength. Because to plant a seed in your own soil and feed your children with its fruit is to reclaim a future no longer dictated by anyone else. And tonight, that seed is sprouting in Burkina Faso. Now is the time to speak our future out loud. If you believe Africa's time has come, write Amen in the comments below. We turn our attention to a story unfolding not in skyscrapers or on stock exchanges, but in the very heart of West Africa. In Burkina Faso, sovereignty is being defined not only by what is built above ground, but also by how lives are protected, how futures are financed, and how dignity is preserved across generations. This is not just about infrastructure, this is about people. From farmers in the fields to elders in their twilight years, the nation under Captain Ibrahim Traoré is crafting a social compact that binds progress to humanity. The Postbank, a new chapter in finance. On October 7, 2024, in the capital Ouagadougou, a vision that had lingered for decades finally became reality. President Traoré officially launched the Postbank of Burkina Faso, known as BPBF. With an initial capital of 15 billion CFA francs, about $25 million, the bank was born not merely as a financial institution, but as a bridge. Structured through the public treasury and decentralized across the country, Postbank is designed to reach the people whom traditional banks have ignored for generations: farmers, women entrepreneurs, small businesses, and rural households. Its mission is not simply to make profit, but to make participation possible. Through savings accounts, microcredit, agricultural loans, and digital banking services, the Postbank is breaking down barriers. A farmer in Kaya can now access credit for seeds. A woman in Tenkodogo can finance a tailoring workshop. A student in Bobo Dioulasso can save for studies abroad. For the first time, finance is not locked behind glass towers. It is in the hands of everyday Burkinabe. And this matters, because without financial inclusion, sovereignty is a slogan. With it, sovereignty becomes structure. Health is a right, not a privilege, but money alone does not make a nation strong. Health does. And here too, Burkina Faso is making history. In the country's second city, Bobo Dioulasso, construction has begun on the nation's first ever geriatric hospital, a facility dedicated solely to the care of elderly citizens. With a budget of 1.7 billion CFA francs, the state-of-the-art hospital is more than bricks and beds. It is recognition. Recognition that the elders who work the fields, build the cities, and raise the families deserve not just gratitude, but specialized care. For too long, retirees were left behind, surviving on meager pensions, often without medical access. That changes now. Under new policies, more than 95,000 retirees and surviving spouses affiliated with the National Social Security Fund and the Civil Servant Retirement Fund will receive free annual checkups and medication vouchers. It is a promise in action that dignity does not end with retirement, and the healthcare transformation goes even further. In partnership with China, Burkina Faso unveiled the University Hospital Center of Pala, a 500-bed facility equipped to perform advanced procedures once thought impossible within national borders. Another hospital in Goa is under construction, set to serve border regions with Ghana and Côte d'Ivoire. Mobile medical clinics, 55 new community health centers, and 5 intensive care units are being deployed. What does this mean in practice? It means a mother in a rural village can now receive a mammogram without traveling hundreds of kilometers. It means a child with a fever can access treatment before it becomes fatal. It means life expectancy, once among the lowest in the world, is beginning to rise. Linking generations. A social compact. What makes Burkina Faso's transformation distinctive is not just the projects themselves, but their coherence. Agriculture feeds factories. Factories feed banks.